you've got to watch Butt Boy. If there's one sentiment I'm going to get across in the duration of whatever this is going to be, is that Butt Boy is an experience that all of us should go through at least once in our lives. This is not a review per se. This was just, I had to talk about it. I had to talk about Butt Boy. Butt Boy. We watched on stream over Meltha's Live in a watch party, as we often do with movies. And this is a movie about a man who finds that he can basically inhale things and eventually living creatures, including people, up his ass. That is the premise of Butt Boy, and there's the gritty detective side of it where someone's trying to figure out where the missing kids are going. Would you believe it? It's up Butt Boy's ass. This obviously sounds stupid, right? It sounds like a so bad it's funny premise. That's kind of the attitude I went into the movie with. The trailer looked like it had potential to be amusing bad with some, iffy acting, whatever. But here's the crazy thing that I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you something crazy. Is that Butt Boy from 2019 may actually be intentionally good. Defying all the odds, defying everything that you could possibly throw at it. I guess the best thing I could say, just the best thing I could say is immediately I started finding things funny. There was immediately humor that was prevalent. But what was very notable about the humor was that the movie was taking itself very seriously, and it was taking its premise very seriously, and it wasn't cracking dumb jokes for the most part. It was playing on tropes, it was playing on cinema techniques, but just doing it in this outrageous premise. And especially once it brings in the cop character, the detective, who is every cliche in the book. He is an alcoholic, he's divorced, he is, right down to the fact that eventually he's going to have to lose his badge before he can finally crack the case. Like, all those things. He's all these things. And I think that's intentional. And I think that's the part of this that is so impressive to me, is that I was finding this movie hilarious throughout the entire runtime pretty much. And not a single time did it feel unintentional. Not a single time did it feel like I was laughing because they were failing to do something. It felt like it was garnering the response that the creators of this movie were trying to achieve. I guess in many ways the best way to describe Butt Boy is it's like a skit that you would get on a comedy show, like a sketch show. And it's meant to only be a few minutes long. And I believe it even started out as a short. I think it started out as a shorter thing. In fact, I think it might even be the opening prologue section that might have been originally its own thing. I'm not sure. But that's kind of the thing. It's like the fake trailer for something. It's the fake trailer for some silly premise. But it's the whole movie. It does the whole movie. And what impresses me is that it's intentionally doing things. It's got the synth score. It's going for that sort of gritty cop vibe at points. The way it doesn't crack dumbass jokes, it just kind of lets you, it doesn't, because you assume that this is going to be an overly disgusting movie because it's about a guy who's shoving things up his ass. But the actual shots of ass are fairly few and far between, and the actual, going in is mostly off camera. In fact, it's the cuts when you realize that he's about to do something that again shows a lot of understanding from the creators and the director as to what exactly they're doing. It'll be this sort of thing where he looks at an object, maybe his wife, because he is married, his wife will say, "Have you seen the remote?" And he'll just sort of look up and be very deadpan, and I just started laughing because it was very clear that he shoved the remote up his ass. It was funny. And not only that, I think I won't get into too many spoilers here. I'll just say that there's places where your mind starts to go of what this could become based on the silly premise that it has, and it genuinely does kind of go to all the places you think it might. Like, it doesn't hold back. It goes to the crazy ideas that you maybe have in your head and start to question at certain points about the greater ideas that are at play in Butt Boy. And I think the pairing of the premise with a very cliched, generic, gritty detective thing is intentional. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this movie. The cliched detective character His performance, which I sort of called him a bit of a discount Christian Bale, although the others in chat pointed out that he was doing more of a De Niro thing with his, like, just his acting, with his mannerisms, things like that. There was definitely more of a De Niro vibe to the way he was delivering his lines, and not great acting. And I'm not even sure that this guy may actually be a great actor, and this was just very intentionally cliched. But this, like, attempt at a detective thing being just a little subpar actually kind of made it work better. Bizarrely, like it fit. Like, the idea it was trying to be this gritty crime film, but the actual perp, Butt Boy, is sucking people up through his ass. That juxtaposition between the two things is what consistently made it funny. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, and I'm not necessarily saying it's a work of art, and I'm not even saying that the humor that I found in it will work for everyone, because it won't. If you're hearing this and you're thinking this just sounds stupid, I want no part of this, you're probably not going to have your mind changed. But if you think you might get some amusement out of a dumb movie about someone sucking people up their ass, then you may actually be surprised by just the craft that went into this. It's not badly shot at all. It feels like it has a little bit of style here or there, because it's intentionally trying to evoke a feeling that makes the core premise funnier. Because it didn't just decide to be a gross out movie where tons of people are cracking ass jokes or whatever. It exceeded expectations. I don't know what expectations one's supposed to have for a movie called Butt Boy about someone who develops a shoving up their ass fetish, which turns into actually having victims who completely disappear up their ass. But somehow, this managed to be kind of a consistently entertaining movie. It maybe slows down a little bit here or there, but is fairly consistently entertaining. And it goes places. Just when you think it might be wearing out its welcome, about 2/3 in, it kind of does a new spin on things and goes into a new direction. So, surprisingly watchable. Like I say, I can't emphasize this enough. Every time I laughed, it felt intentional, and I was laughing for the reasons the creators were wanting me to laugh. And there's so many movies that have premises like this that don't work because they're trying to be, Sharknado, or they're trying to be something silly like that. They're intentionally trying to be bad, and it doesn't work. So I don't really know. I don't think I can call this a good bad movie. I think it actually is just kind of good because it knows what it's doing and it succeeds at what it's doing. Is it good in the same way that, like an actual, detective movie like Heat? Is it good in the same way that Heat is good? Of course it's not. And there's a lot of things where clearly there's limitations. It is a very cheap film. It's a very low budget film. They do well with the money they had. It didn't sound like it was a lot. And yeah, the acting is, just good enough for what the movie needs to be, but it has kind of that lower quality feel to it. But somehow it defies the odds. Butt Boy transcends. I'm shocked. I'm shocked to like the fact that I felt compelled to tell people about Butt Boy, because it's actually kind of a gem. As long as you're willing to roll with the stupid premise, it kind of is entertaining, and it knows what it's doing. So, with only the slightest reservations, I'm recommending to you Butt Boy. Consider this a public service announcement for Male Fuzz Movies. I do hope you enjoy Butt Boy. If you do, seek it out and watch it. It does have a few ass puns here or there, but to be honest, because of the mood that the movie put me in and how much I was laughing at the general idea of the premise, that as soon as someone called someone an asshole, I just burst out laughing because I've got assholes on the brain. I'm thinking of ass. It's just, it's a very ass-heavy movie in many ways. And by the time we get to the last third and there's more outright, dare I say, super powered elements, I was all in. I was all in. Many people were all in inside the movie because they were going in his ass. But I was all in. Give Butt Boy a chance. Give Butt Boy a chance.